All right, Swiggy, we are live this Sunday, November 20th, 2022 at roughly 8 o'clock p.m. on the dot. I want to thank everybody for joining me and Swiggy tonight. Swiggy, how are you doing tonight from this weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
Overall, yes. Actually, I've had a great week. My offer was accepted on a house, so
Congratulations.
hopefully things are going good there. And perhaps more stunningly, I got Taylor Swift tickets at face value.
Actually, how long was your queue for?
So I ended up sitting in queue for about a little over 5 hours, but my sister had missed the last two tours for her. She's a huge fan, and I was doing everything within reason to get us to that concert. Now, mind you, when I say within reason, that's not paying for the secondary market, but it's all worked out.
Hey, you were still able to get those tickets. That's what matters. And you were able to get in at this point. So still, congratulations. I mean, I know a lot of the Swifties were very upset. Look, I'm not going to complain if the Swiftie Army is going to bring down Ticketmaster or cause them to get split up. I think that's inevitable. I think it's coming. So yeah, again, congratulations that you're not going to have to pay scalpers over $3,000 probably a ticket.
Of course.
Unfortunately for me, I did not get a Taylor Swift ticket because I was not selected for the pre-sale for it, and they're like, nope. Well, we're just going to completely cancel all of the what's it called, Swiggy, the general admission. So I'm just
the general public. I don't know I don't know what happened with that. I was just like, you know what? I got lucky. That's all. I got lucky with it.
Yep. It is what it is. So, Swiggy, before we really delve into football, I want to talk about something first, really fast. So usually, guys, whenever something like when Sean's on, we'll talk about stuff that crosses across fandoms. We'll talk about like anime. We'll talk about cartoons. We'll talk about a lot of stuff that happens just in general with it. And I want to get this one out of the way before Swiggy and we both talk about Bedlam. And if you haven't seen the news, obviously, and you've just been under a rock this entire day, you've been away from technology and stuff, it was announced shockingly to the entire world, guys, that the Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger or White Ranger, whichever one you know him familiar as, or later on as Red or Black, passed away this morning at the age of 49, and it was due to suicide, which is pretty much more shocking to everybody. Dude was a class act. He always was very much engaged with his fans. He was always pretty much in the present and made the most of life. But again, with everything probably going on in his life, we never know what's truly beyond someone's mask, what someone's feeling beyond just their initial one. So first off, sometimes, guys, if you feel like someone is feeling down, someone just is out of the ordinary, reach out to them and say, just ask them how are they doing. Just check up on them and make sure everything's good. I think everybody needs one of those just in general with it, because you don't know what the impact of just checking up on them is going to say. The other part too, guys, is if you're really feeling that down and you're really thinking about and contemplating suicide, remember, there is a number for you to call. It's 988, and there is resources available to help you. And I'm going to repeat that again. It is 988. Please take the time, if you're ever that low, guys, to give yourself a call or give them a call or reach out to friends and family. Remember, there's nothing to be ashamed about calling or reaching out. We all want people here. We want everybody to enjoy each other's company for a long time. We don't want anybody committing suicide for it. Again, we don't know what people have to go through, what people are experiencing, but it's very important to kind of drive that home with that, because I think that's what everyone finds shocking the most is him passing away at 49 is a pretty young age, but it was due to suicide. It was not due to a car wreck. It wasn't due to getting shot or something like that. It was by his own hands, essentially. But again, there's people out there that care about you. There's people that want you here. So call that number or reach out to people. And if you know me personally, you know my message is immediately open to talk, to make sure like, hey, we'll talk through it, guys. Like there's always something more. You're cared about, and everybody wants you here. So we'll talk a little bit more about that after. We'll talk Bedlam stuff, Swiggy, with it. But I wanted to get that out there. I feel like this is one of those important things that brings everybody back down to earth and gives everyone more of a perspective of just like what's going on in life, how to give everybody something in the moment at this point. Definitely a sad day today for, I think, not only just like for the Power Ranger fans, but just people in general, because he was definitely someone that brought people together, was a part of our childhoods, and was just a genuine good person. A little rough around the edges at times, but just every time he met with fans, they were very enthusiastic to meet with him and very, very happy to see him. So again, we'll talk more a little bit about that at the end of the show if we have time. But I did want to get that out there again. 988, guys, if you have any type of suicidal thoughts or anything, or you need help, remember, there's always people out there to reach out to. So now that aside with it, let's talk shop, Swiggy. Let's talk Bedlam for it.
All right.
So Swiggy, into the home slate. First off, let me tell you, it was stinking cold last night. I've laughed at one of the people like, it's not that bad. I'm like, I don't know what you're smoking, dude, unless they're just running around the entire stadium. It was cold because as the game progressed, I went with my brother-in-law and my sister to the game. And again, I made it very obvious, like, I think OU was going to lose this one. Like, first off, anyone who went to bet money on the spread with like it being like over 110 points combined, y'all are stupid and deserve to lose money.
If you thought this was not going to be a high scoring, I honestly, the way it went was exactly how I saw it going. Well, not exactly how I saw it going for OU victory, but I still predicted OU victory, so score one for me.
Yep. It's one of those moments of, yes, I'm happy that we won it, and that I'm very happy that I was very much wrong. But as like I'm just telling you now, when we walked to this day, I'm like, I had a shirt, I had like a long sleeve on my jersey, and I had my normal like everyday jacket I wear. I'm like, okay, it's a little chilly out, let's put the hoodie on. So we put the hoodie on. 15-20 minutes passed, like, all right, time to put the big jacket on, the big heavy one. Then another 15-20 minutes pass, time to get the gloves on. Then another 15 minutes, it's like, all right, time to get my mask on for like they have for skiers. And then another 20 minutes of like earmuffs. And then it was a hood. It was just like, I was like looking through like that through my winter. I'm like, this is cold.
I was once at a World Series. I was once at a World Series game in '97 when it snowed, and I was a small little 8-year-old, and I appreciate the call when it comes to that. I was just like, that's probably why I was just like, even if I had tickets, I wasn't gonna go. It was too. And I like the cold, but that just looked way too cold yesterday.
Yeah, well, and some of it is, it's like there was very little wind, but the wind that came through, it was just the sheer amount. I mean, the metal bench was on its own, was just sapping any of that heat there. And then, were people in there, sure, but it was colder to sit down than it was to stand up. So you're mostly standing up this entire game. And it was just a little bit chilly. Even I'm going like, all right, guys, let's wrap this up. Like it's 9:30. Let's wrap this up and let's actually get to that. And boy, I have a complaint, Swiggy. F TV timeouts. Now, it does not help that Dylan could not complete a 5-yard forward pass if his life depended on it. But there was so many TV timeouts that you could have taken out. Like every single time OU had a incomplete drive, it was a 3-minute TV timeout. We're like, after like 3 of those drives, we were already almost like within 12 to 15 minutes of TV timeouts on 3 drives, like maybe 3 minutes of football play. Goodness.
I noticed it at home, and I prepare for it because if you're on the 6:30 ABC game, it's going to happen. That's just how it goes. So I'm not surprised to hear that. But I saw it yesterday. There were so many TV timeouts, but of course, for me, it's not as bad if I'm sitting around having a hot apple cider. So
right, but you also it was even at home whenever you noticed what was noticeable for the TV crowd. It's like, guys, I know you're trying to get all these out of them, but my God, like they don't have to be that obvious. Like it's just, I think what killed me too is every TV timeout was nearly like the 3.5 a minute mark. It's like this is unnecessary.
Oh yeah. We'll say that. That was it was way overkill. But I mean, on the plus side, at least it was one of the most exciting first quarters in Bedlam history.
Yeah, like I said, it's crazy to think about. Like the first quarter of the game was super exciting. Nothing could go wrong. And then, I mean, you know how I feel right now, and it's what pisses me off more and more. Like, both sides left that game angry. Whereas, like, yay, we beat Oklahoma State, but this game was really garbage.
I'm just going to say, if you left that game angry, that's your problem. I think you're a bitter person if you left that game angry. Because for as bad as this season has gone, it's our worst season in about 20 plus years, and we still found a way to beat Oklahoma State. There's definitely some stuff, I'm not saying I was happy about everything, but at the same time, sometimes it's like, you know what? Just take the win and be happy. Enjoy it. Enjoy life. We beat Mike Gundy is 3-15 against OU in Bedlam. Yeah, just because the fact is, all the stuff we're complaining about, it's not stuff that's getting fixed this year. I have all off season to worry about that stuff. So
that's fair. Well, here's the thing. I'm happy we won. But I do think there are legitimate criticisms and critiques that have to be addressed with it because they're not going away, in my opinion. But let's talk about that game, though. So, like I said, it was cold, but I lived through it. I wasn't a wimp. There was people like, I don't want to go in the cold. I'm like, my dudes, my brother-in-law and my sister went with me with it because I had my extra tickets because Dad didn't go, so he gave them to them. Yeah. And they're Oklahoma State fans. Now, mind you, I voted. I stand by it. Swiggy, you know it. And I had in my prediction video that I predicted OU was going to lose.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yes, I predicted it was fair. It was fair for them because this may be the biggest shot they have seeing a away victory against OU in a long time. And to their credit, OU did their damnedest to hand the game off after the first quarter. It was like, nah, you want it. And then they're like, no, you want it. No, you really, really, really want it. And basically it came down to, OU didn't want it enough to lose. So it reminds me enough of that Army game where it was like, there's incompetence. And I think that's what it is. Now, it depends on what side of the ball it is, of course. But I'm offering a little more critiquing on it versus what the outcome of the game says. It is what it is on it. But let's kind of delve into this. So first off, I'm glad that we had prime time at the Palace because the light show really looked slick for the intro video when it was like 6:30 kickoff with no what's it called? With no at sunset, with it being dark and everything like that. It was just fantastic for it. I know there's some people that are still mixed on that, but I personally think that's one of the slickest thing they could have done. If they can figure out a way to get some red LEDs though in it and trying to get some more of the flashing, that'd be great. People weren't nearly as engaged with it just because of how stinking cold out it was with it, but it was just enough. But I do think let's kind of start. Let's go offense. Let's go offense. Swiggy, I just know one thing from the offense. If Jeff Levy ever calls a game like that again and has horrible clock management like that, we're going to tie him down and we're going to beat him with wet towels. Like, at some point, you deserve it, and he's reaching that point. He deserved that.
I mean, I'll say this. The pass play would have worked. He was open. But the problem is, this is what comes down to. I know all of us shout, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. That doesn't work after so long because eventually they load the box and you have to keep them honest to pass. Like running works when you have at least some kind of passing game. And I mean, to be fair, I'll be very fair. In the first quarter and even the opening half, really until that end of half interception, which I mean, that was whatever. It was unfortunate, but it happened. It was a weird thing that happened. Whatever. But after that, I mean, Dylan just looked bad.
Yeah, well, and that's why
they were missing easy throws.
Right, and you and I have had these criticisms about Dylan before, but this was so blatant. Like, I'm sorry, I disagree with anybody's like, well, he's got to fight. The Jackson Hall's got to fight. No, this was the signal of Dylan. You're not getting shit done, my dude. These are not even. We're not asking you to throw a bomb. We're not asking. We're asking short little passes. You're not getting it done, man. Like, he ain't going to be the starter next year. I'm sorry. I am fully convinced. Like, if you don't want the team to turn against you, he is not going to be the starter next year.
It's man, I hate throwing any freshmen in there. And maybe you'll try and get someone else from the transfer portal. I don't know, but Dylan, I mean,
it was bad.
I made fun of Oregon when they went and got Bo Nix. I wish we got Bo Nix.
I mean, Bo Nix is one of those situations where he's good until he faces his kryptonite named Georgia.
but we're not facing Georgia, so. But yeah,
that's true.
I watched it. It's just Dylan. I have to go back and watch the second half a bit more closely, but just watching it, he was just missing every throw. And to be fair, there were some drops too. So I'm not. It's not
correct. Like Farouk was bad, but Dylan was another level bad again. And it's like, look, you can't bench him because that's all you have. But I cannot realistically see how he's going to be your starter next season,
unless he's been playing through some undisclosed injury all year.
Right.
Which happens sometimes.
Right.
But I just don't. Yeah, I just don't see it either. I mean, nice guy, and I haven't heard anything bad about him, but it's like, just that second half kind of showed it off in a nutshell, where it's like he didn't even have to do anything he didn't have to take any risky throws. He just had to if he had just thrown 50%.
Yeah,
that's enough. We would have won 42-10.
Right.
It would have been more than enough had he done that, and he just could. He couldn't even do that. That was bad. The running was good, but like I said, I mean, the problem with running it is you can't run it all the time. I mean, mind you, I did get to the point in the fourth quarter where I'm just like, you know what, Dylan just can't complete it. Just run it. Just run it all 3 times. And that's bad when I get to the point where I'm like, just run it all 3 times, because at that point,
well, and it's what you're saying.
Outcomes, they're better. I think it's a better outcome because at least you can milk the clock a little bit.
Except when it's like, the snap count's what, like 40? Oh, we're gonna snap at 39. What are you doing, Dylan? Like, what are you doing, Levy? Where's my wet towel? Just hold still, just a couple times. Let me tie you down. It was bad. Dylan was bad, and I get it. But even you, Swiggy, though, you were at the point of saying, we couldn't run the ball, but yet we needed to run the ball to just drain clock. They weren't draining clock at all. It's like they gave Oklahoma State every opportunity to come back into this game.
Yeah, and you know what? And we've hit the defense a lot this year, very fairly, I might add. Congrats for them for really showing up yesterday.
So
we needed that. We needed what they did yesterday. So
I'm mixed on that, because yes, they did it what we were supposed to. We were able to take care of business against Oklahoma State, but at the same time, I don't know how much credibility I want to give a defense that's facing a one-dimensional offense that you knew Spencer was going to throw it most of the night.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question mark, if I'm an Oklahoma State fan, why did Gundy not run him more? And I don't know if he's injured or not, because at one point where I look at the stat where it's like, man, if Spencer Sanders is throwing it that many times, he threw it 67 times, there's no way he can be injured. Now, the flip side of it is why didn't he just run with his life at this point, or was the D-line just hassling him all night? You see where I'm going with that, where I give the defense where the credit is due, but at the same time, it's like you're facing an atrocious one-dimensional offense. Like, all they're going to do is throw it.
On the one hand, I kind of agree, but on the other hand, that's also something that would have killed us earlier. And I also feel that would have killed us earlier in the year, which I mean, I'm gonna give the defense. I'm gonna give their defense their due overall, just because they still had to do it. Even if you're saying, oh, that's just one dimensional. They still had to stop. I mean, they still had to stop them. They still had to play well. They still, they especially in the fourth quarter when it's like, oh, when if they gotten tired, things could have gone bad
Yep.
if they and if they had lost focus. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I do. I think at the very least, I can kind of see where this D can go, where this D could be in a few years in the future. It's not. I mean, obviously these same guys aren't going to be here, but at the very least they look. At the very least, they look good. They look like they could attack, and it's they still had to do it. I mean,
Right.
it's still a rivalry game. They still could, look. We gave up all those points to TCU, and TCU's been pretty bad offensively the last couple of weeks. So,
oh yeah, to be fair, with Baylor, that's their kryptonite. Whatever it is when TCU's in the running, Baylor gives them a run for their money. But then again, I mean, Oklahoma State realized like spotting your opponent 28 points before you want to come play, not ideal. But for OU, starting off 28 and then falling asleep the rest of the game, that's not ideal either. But I get with the defense what the defenses do. Like those turnovers, like I cracked the joke was like, man, I think the defense was probably the best, but Spencer Sanders probably was the best OU player on the field, considering how many dang interceptions he threw or how many close interceptions. I think end of the day, it was 4. Like, dude, that was bad.
Yeah, it could have been more. I mean, and that's just where I am on it. It's like the defense. I'd like to see more from it, and I do think that if you're actually going to be part of this football team next year, if you're a decision maker, you need to look at this critically and decide, look back and make some decisions. But unfortunately, we don't know it. We don't know anything. We don't know what's going on in the background. But at the very least, the defense showed up, and it's a much needed win after it gets us bowling. Which even though which even if the bowl system's kind of dying, you still
you need those reps. That's the sole reason to go is you get those 15 extra practices. The actual bowl games are irrelevant at this point, but it's the getting in there, getting those reps for which to me, personal opinion, that should not be tied to a bowl game. In my opinion, if there has to be a stipulation of even if you're not going to a bowl, you should have access to those 15 practices. Like to me, that's just unfair. Like, but then again, we're asking for 6. Like anyway, but
I agree. But anyway, but either way, it's like you can say, I mean, we lost to Texas badly. Some of that was because the offense was just the offense was pretty much
correct.
There's nothing the offense could do that game. But I mean, it's still a rivalry game, and you still need those wins moving forward. If nothing else, it helps it'll quiet up some of the fire Brent people. So.
Right, and I give credits too. Like the big thing that just drove me nuts, Swiggy, was look, and I'm honest about it. Defense, as much as it is, to be fair, the flip side of it is kudos to them for staying on the damn field for 40 minutes. Like offense couldn't do shit. Like kudos to them for that. Like regardless of you facing whoever, that was good of them. Like just kicking butt for 40 minutes and getting the ball turned over. Like they were. Unlike the past couple weeks, the defense did come out to play, and you saw that the defense was the outright better unit. Tonight with it. Like I said, I think Oklahoma State's problem is they have 0 run game, and they have some receivers. They made a couple with it, but honestly, outside of that horrible pass interference call last night, we pretty much shut down Oklahoma State the entire night. They just could not get anything going.
Yeah, That's what. Yeah, and that's why I'm giving the defense their due, even if it is one-dimensional, even if it is all that. Like I said, you can say a lot about everything with it, but it's still hard to shut down another team in a rivalry game.
Yeah,
Especially if they're not using backups, but it's still an accomplishment, it's still an achievement. It's exactly what we wanted, because I mean, look, for as much as we can complain about kind of how stuff went down, some of the play calling with Levy and a lot of the other stuff, if any of us, if you had heard, OU's going to win this game, OU's going to win this game by 15 points, by 2 touchdowns, all of us would have all of us would have taken it, no matter what the script was.
especially right now, for sure. I mean, let's be honest. Like, you can sum up this game of, man, after the clock was over, Spencer Sanders threw another interception going to the OSU locker room, and OU can get into the locker room after 4 attempts. Like that was your game out of a nutshell, and both sides want to launch their offensive coordinators into the sun.
That last Gundy punt was so sad,
so bad. Like I said,
it just was. Like, I'm not, like, I try not to hit people too much, because sometimes it's fine to admit when you're defeated, when you don't put guys out there to get hurt. It's fine. It's annoying. I know, never give up, never surrender, but it's fine sometimes. It's fine sometimes, but that was, I mean, but even for that, that's a pretty big surrender move from Gundy. So
yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it's. I mean, there are issues, and we can talk about them. But overall, we still. Overall, we still won.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about, going back to Levy really quick, I know we're kind of jumping around here.
No, that's fine.
The Levy thing I care about more if it's a 1-score game. With a 2-score game, I just care less about that passing a 2-score game, because he was open. But I mean, Dylan couldn't throw it out. Dylan couldn't throw it over the guy. So what are you gonna
Dylan couldn't throw a 5-yard pass if his life depended on it. Now, I do want to. You mentioned it as well, and I do want to praise it as well. Man, Drake Stoops had himself a night for sure. Like, he disappeared the rest of the night, but he was part of that 28-point run. Like,
I mean, but I mean, everyone disappeared. Everyone, I don't know what it was with that. I don't know what. I'd like to. I need to go back and watch. I need to go back and watch what happened with him a little bit more closely, because I'm curious. I think Oklahoma State was just really covering him really well after that first quarter. So, but I'm not sure. I need to go back and actually hardcore watch it.
Yeah, well, it's just credit where credit's due. Man, Michael Turk had himself a game last night. He was probably the best player. Was the special teams guy. Like, his punts were all on point. Like, he kept them pinned, and that's the thing I think was frustrating for Oklahoma State. They just could not drive at all.
No. And even when they did drive, it was like, oh, okay, here. We're pressuring Sanders, and it's another interception. I mean, it's I mean, that's where we are with it, and I do consider that an overall successful game. Specialty. I mean, hats off to special teams too, because this is just the kind of game where we would have gone up. I feel like this was the kind of game where you would have gone up 28-0, and then there's a kickoff return for a touchdown. Dang it. So I mean, so hats off to them. They did a good job. Defense did a good job. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge, because everything we have to view is, I know OU's not really used to rebuilding, but we do have to kind of view what's going on as work in progress.
Right, and I think that's what it is. It's that's where the Levy stuff frustrates me the most, because when you think about it, we had so many interceptions last night, and we just could not capitalize on them.
It's
easily been a blowout, and it didn't. We let Oklahoma State come back into the game in fourth quarter, and I know the score doesn't show that, but there was a time that they could, and we had to lean on the defense.
Yeah, there are a few moments. It's the way I kind of view it. is I care a lot less about mistakes in a season like this, just because. What do we do? Just because look, every coach is going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Literally every single coach is going to make mistakes at some point. None of Levy's last night were fatal, and just watching it, I'm just like, I'm watching this. I'm watching Dylan. I'm just like, just complete just complete a short pass. I know West Coast offense isn't exactly it's you can say what you want about West Coast offense, but he couldn't even run a West Coast offense in the 80s. I hate to say that. I don't even mean to Dylan, but it's just they're just. But at the end of the day, I can only blame Levy so much when your quarterback only completes one pass in the second half.
So I agree with that, but at the same time, it's like you can blame Levy for not draining clock. That's on him. He did not. That's my biggest one. Side note, while I'm thinking about with special teams, man, I love that kickoff return where they did the lateral to the other side of the field.
That was.
So that's high reward. I didn't know you could do that because I guess the thought never occurred to me that way. You can do that. No one's done that before. It was slick. That was beautiful. And I give credit for that.
I've seen it done before. It's just it's super risky if it goes wrong. That's why most teams don't do it. But hats off to that. That was great. But no, I get what you're saying about bleeding clock. But at the same time, you can't just go totally run based.
Yeah.
The only pass I really hated was that one was the last one, and even then the guy was open. And if we convert that, well, game's over. But
and that's where I give you credit, Swiggy, where you said we were on the ball, we couldn't convert a 3rd and 1. I understand that, but we could have drained 40 seconds off the clock.
Yeah. But like I said, it's only the last couple drives were the only ones I really cared about, because at that point we know what's going on. But you can't just start saying, because once you can't. It's such a defeat move to start saying we're just going to run it just straight coming out of halftime, because you don't need more points. But once again, I really only hated not passing on the last pass. I really hated. I guess the last 2 drives it annoyed me. But if we're not converting, if the run's getting stuffed, you can't just go run only in the 3rd quarter. You can't, and there definitely faults with Levy, but at the same time, if the quarterback can't complete a pass, I don't know what you're supposed to do. I don't know what you're supposed to do when he goes from he's making some passes in the 1st quarter to did his arm fall off at halftime?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Like I said, celebrate this win at the same time. I'm glad we got our win from the revenge, I guess, against last year, because it is 1 year since Benedict Brisket went out west at this point. And don't get me wrong, OU needed this. They needed to win this. The fans needed this. It was very lethargic or very cleansing to let everything go. They needed this win with it. Now the flip side of it though is if you would have told me and like I said, I'm just frustrated at some parts with it. And I feel frustrated for the Oklahoma State fans where they're like, man, Spencer Sanders sucks, and then for OU side, man, Jeff Lebby sucks.
If your takeaway is Lebby sucks from that, I just don't agree with that. To me that's more of a player thing. Yeah. He made a bad call, but I'm just not. One completed pass. If I just can't blame any OC. I just can't blame any OC for that. I can't. Never will.
To be fair, though, if we're being honest, though, if you look at all the after all the stuff from that, what it was we were just punting, you deserve to lose like Oklahoma State did. They deserved to lose because they could not overcome OU's punt. They could not. So, it is what it is. Gosh, like I don't even want to say it was bedlam. It was just like it was frustrating. Like I'm like, man, I think what was it? I've had kidney stones. I passed faster than that game. Like, goodness.
I mean, I didn't have a problem, but I was also watching it. But I was also able to watch other games. So, yeah. I mean, it was good overall. It was good overall. We
got bowl eligible. Like you said, we got bowl eligible from it. Thank you, Oklahoma State, for giving us 6-6 and throwing up. But that's the other thing too. We mentioned it earlier, and I want to drive it home again. I don't understand Jeff Levy. I'm on the Jeff Levy train. Why Gundy always seems to play conservative against us? Like he can call fantastic games against other opponents. Against us, like he shits the bed every single dang time.
I don't know. I wish I had some idea, because whatever it is, I'm fine with it. But yeah, I don't know if it's just this weird mental block with Gundy, because like if you look at his wins against OU, you had the one where they just straight up beat us. That was their one loss season. Mm-hmm. They were just fantastic that year. We were I think that was our 8-5 year. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. And the Tyreek Hill miracle.
Yeah, there for that one. That was not a fun game.
And the questionable pass interference and the questionable reffing. And how into the game was Lincoln Riley really last year?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to play that. I love playing that conspiracy theory. I 100% believe Lincoln Riley was coaching that game. Just whatever. If we won, okay, but he was not. He was not coaching to win.
No, well, that's where I laugh too. Where it's like, if you really wanted to like poke fun at the Bear, essentially tonight, it was, see, even in our worst year, we only needed one quarter to take care of you guys. Like, yeah, like we had 28 points. That was enough to win a football game. Yeah. But we were just getting ready for that vaulted SEC defense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, did you see the stats from the Ole Miss game yesterday?
No, I haven't had a chance to take a look at that because I got home like at midnight last night, my dude. Like because that game went on an extra hour. Thanks, Dylan. That's why it went an extra hour, because you can't complete a 5-yard pass. Look. I will say this, and I have to get this off my chest. Look, I don't claim to be a better football player than them. I don't claim that I can call drive or plays, but at least I can drain clock.
Yeah, at one point, yes. So at one point in the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss got 703 total yards in their game yesterday.
Nice.
And they lost 42-27.
And that still was not the worst loss of the day.
Which one was the worst loss of the day?
Tennessee getting blown out by South Carolina. Like, that's the Rattler we had in 2020. Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah, worse for Tennessee. Their quarterback tore his ACL.
Okay. Oh, he did. I didn't see that. Again, at midnight, then I have Black Panther this morning. Like, I haven't really been able to, like, sit and, like, go through all that except my notes.
Hooker tore his ACL late in that game, and he's done for the year. So, I penciled Tennessee in as a playoff team. And
yeah.
They're done.
Yeah, they're done. So that comes down to Ohio State, Georgia, TCU, and insert inaugural beat down to Georgia team. Like, who wants to be the slaughter team this year?
USC has one loss. I still think they're going to lose to either Notre Dame or Oregon, but we'll see.
Hey, to be fair with Tennessee, though, they deserve to lose because I found out, like, after the Alabama win, they were printing coffee table books of the 2022 season. I'm like, bros, you still have, like, 6 games to go. Like, let's not kill our chickens before they hatch.
That's Tennessee. That's so Tennessee, though. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, Clemson could sneak in. Even I think Clemson would get killed, but Clemson could sneak in if things go their way, because a one-loss ACC team, they just kind of shrug their shoulders and be like, "Fine, you won the ACC." Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, I mean, big this Saturday, Ohio State and Michigan. Both teams are undefeated going into the game.
Yep, it's going to be a fun one. And Michigan almost lost too. They took some miracles for that one. Ohio State just looked bored. Like, that's why the score was so low.
I mean, I'm going to say this. I'm saying this as someone who is an Ohio State fan too. I grew up in Ohio, like Ohio State. Man, if Ohio State loses that game, we are going to start a dialogue about Ryan Day, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But I'm just saying it right now. I hope I'm wrong about this, just because. I like Ohio State. I'm sure other people are going to be I'm sure most people listening are going to be like, yes, this sounds awesome. Right now, I'm getting big Larry Coker vibes from him.
I don't disagree with you. I think he's there at this point. Now, he can still win out based on how this year's. I think he has a great chance for it, but who knows? Swiggy, I do want to. Where was it that I brought it up? I do want to bring up some recruiting stuff, kind of go over that. But I do want to remind, since we are having people come back in and stuff, I did want to remind this again, guys. Like I mentioned in the earlier of the stream, if y'all haven't seen, original Green Ranger passed away due to, and I don't want to be the buzzkill, but this is something important to me. Passed away due to suicide. And if you need help, guys, call 988. Like, again, earlier in the stream, we didn't have a lot of people, but now that people are starting to pop in, I just want to remind people of that. There's always help available. We're here. People are here with it. Like, you have friends, family, people want you here. So I know that I don't want to be a buzzkill with it, but yeah. So back to that, though. So Swiggy with it, something big too. It looks like they're starting to move some crystal balls. It sounds like the recruiting went very, very, very well. And right now they had a crystal ball that they're ready to put out that Peyton Bowen is going to commit to OU. I seen that early, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, that it looks like he's about to flip from Notre Dame and look like maybe attend OU. There's also word as well from those same people that looks like David Hicks looks like he's ready to flip. And last night was less about seeing, like, can we convince him, and more about the process and, like, is this really what David Hicks wants to do? So, I mean, this is some good stuff from it. So last night, as far as I'm aware, like, you couldn't do anything wrong. You had to win. I don't think you had to win last night, but you did have to show. If you lose, you had to lose. And it's something like this. Like last night, if it was like a 50-51 game, whatever, like something ridiculous, but it was a solid game, they could accept losing. Like, you needed to win last night just to convince some of the stuff as well. So I think it was good for recruiting last night. We'll have to see what else is going on as well. I have no idea what's happening with Trayvon Henderson. Swiggy, do you know what's happening with him?
Nah, I don't know. Nah, I haven't seen anything, and I don't follow recruiting super closely.
I think it's for he was playing for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, it's going to okay. Wow, that tells you so. Wow, that tells you how much I just do it as a recruit.
Well, I was talking about recruits, so that's fair. That's fair on it. What other information, if you want to throw stuff and I can look that up for you. I'm thinking of the one guy from the NFL, but you may be thinking.
Wait, okay. Trayvon Henderson, is that what? That's the only Trayvon Henderson I know is the Ohio State running back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's definitely not healthy. He definitely wasn't healthy. So,
do you think he also had some injuries then?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So what other game was going on, Swiggy, that you saw? USC almost threw up on themselves. That's something.
I mean, it was very USC. It's unfortunately for I mean, Caleb Williams looked fantastic. The defense did. I I swear it's one of those weird things where USC is like plus 20 in turnover margin this year. Mostly
Yeah,
because most because they don't turn the ball over, but it also says a lot about the Pac-12. Like a competent quarterback wins that game for UCLA. And they almost did. They were driving at the end and could have easily tied it or won it. I mean, it is what it is. I just don't think about. I just don't think about USC that much, just because. Okay, I mean, I think. I mean, but that just goes how I feel with the Pac-12 in general. I don't think about the Pac-12. I don't think that they're at like the Clemson level where they can basically fool around in a weak conference and then flip the switch. Now I could
yeah,
be wrong. I could be wrong. Caleb could be definitely good enough, and people are going to say, "Man, man, if only the Sooners had those guys." But it's kind of like, okay, I don't really
yeah.
know. I don't really know what your point is with that. Like, do you want us to keep him hostage, or it's not like we didn't do everything to make Lincoln Riley happy? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
Is what it is.
uh, do you think Notre Dame's going to beat TCU or USC next week? Because I'm convinced they could. I think they could.
I think they could. I definitely think they could. I could see that as like a good bookmark for the. I think they will. I think to me that's like their good book. I could see them being a good bookmark at the end of the season, where it's
Yeah,
like they opened up, just lost to Ohio State, where it almost failed, and then and then they went through a few bad weeks, but then they beat. But then they've beat Clemson. They've looked good this year, especially for a team that lost Brian Kelly as their coach. So
yeah. I mean, it's going to be a high ranked matchup at USC. That it is going to be a good game, regardless.
yeah,
What was the thing? And I guess because I was eating food at the time and I didn't see what happened. Why did they call the TCU Baylor game like dramatic fashion? I'm like, they lined up. I mean, I know they kicked it, then moved really fast, but was that it? Was that the just because they lined up within about 4 seconds to kick the field?
yeah. It's just look. Anytime you have anytime you have to go and kick a field goal, that's dangerous because there's a running clock. If there's a false start on TCU, that's game.
Yeah,
There's a 10-second runoff. So it's just dramatic because you don't have time to set the snap. You don't have time to take. You don't have time to just relax. You don't have time to call it. It's like the kicker can kind of go when he's ready. Kicker has to go now. Everything has to line up perfectly. And in all honesty, it's like fire drill field goals like that are always fun. They just
yeah.
are.
What about the and like I said, but during our pickums, like definitely, of course, like I was not poking fun at it at the time. I really thought it was going to be a much closer game. But boy, did Texas obliterate Kansas off the side of the map. Like, they took some anger out on them in that game for sure. And I thought Kansas was going to be better with the return of their quarterback and everything. What was up? Because I only did not get to watch it. And obviously, I was in the stadium at the time. So what about Georgia, Kentucky? Was that game so close?
It wasn't. It honestly wasn't. That was one of the most boring. Look, that was one of the most boring games I've ever watched. Like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those games where you watch it, and Kentucky's not going to score. Kentucky's not going to like make a game of it. But their defense was good enough to stop Georgia, but their offense was never going to do anything against that defense unless someone died.
Yeah.
It was one of the it's the worst kind of college football game. It was a very I'll call it a very SEC game where it's like oh yeah, it looks close, but honestly, this other team never had any hope.
Yeah.
And just watching it, I was just like, yeah, like I mean, I actually like for perspective, the 2:30 block was so boring for me yesterday. And yeah, yesterday I ended up choosing just to play games, just to I ended up playing God of War and had the games on the background of my computer just so I could be like, okay, but the games were on mute. That should just tell you how bored I was with them.
There was this. I guess it's what it is.
Yeah.
There's not. It wasn't interesting enough uh for us to pay
Casual.
attention because I'm not going to say it wasn't a boring week, but the only really high ranked was Oregon and UCLA, and that was a pretty good game on its
Yeah,
own.
yeah. Oregon, Utah was good, and
I'm sorry.
yeah, and you always have you always have some random college stuff that's fun. Uh huh. I mean, A&M, the stadium looked like a ghost town yesterday.
God, like you have to think. And I understand some players want to commit because it's legacy. Probably some of it is the money. You have to wonder how many are going to leave from that disaster of a program right now. Like you do. You have to genuinely wonder like what is going through those players' mind. Like I wouldn't want to go play for that, especially with how disastrous it was. It was yesterday with it because that's not home field advantage. Like Texas A&M is supposed to be intimidating. But yeah, like
I mean, to be fair, it's UMass, so they don't have many recruits there. But definitely, I mean, Alabama. To be fair, Alabama. It was cold in the South yesterday too. Like Alabama wasn't exactly. Alabama was probably. I mean, they were pretty empty against Austin P. So
yeah,
that's kind. That's kind of the downside of the SEC strategy of move some of these FCS games to late in the season.
yeah.
If you're going for a championship, it's fine, but if you're not going for a championship, you just get pretty bored. You just get a pretty boring game with a bored crowd because no one wants to sit there in nobody wants to sit there in like freezing temperatures to go and watch
Yeah.
Alabama beat up on Austin P.
I mean that's fair. That's fair. I mean, Alabama was bored.
Yeah, I mean Alabama was bored. We just mock it because Jimbo only beat UMass by two touchdowns.
Yeah. Well,
it was 17. It was 20-3, but it was still. I mean that it should not have been that close for.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just where A&M is right now.
What did you think of that while it's on my mind for the OU game? What do you think of the pass interference call? Because I thought that was a terrible ass call.
It felt like a bailout call. It was
Did you get the complaints?
I didn't think it pardon me. I didn't think it necessarily was, but I didn't think it was, but I also like if they hadn't have called it, I wouldn't have blinked. But to me it was 50-50. It's like sometimes they'll get called, sometimes it won't, which I know is which I know isn't really good analysis. But I didn't hate it as much as other people. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
On retrospect, I understand why they did. Like when you do the reach, like they're probably going to call it, guys. But when not, like I still think it was a terrible call. Like that was not pass interference. That's not even textbook pass interference.
No.
But they let him play last night too. I mean, we were holding a lot on the line against their D line. They refused to call it last night. Like there was very few penalties, which even for no team facing OSU, like we apparently had our Super Bowl against them.
I mean that. Oh well, it was the same thing for Oklahoma State because the Sanders when he was in the end zone, I was like, we were held bad on that one. We were held bad.
Oh yeah. I know there's also side note with some recruiting stuff. Now that I'm looking at my list and everything, it looks like there is some more looks like crystal balls happening. It looks like 3-star D lineman Ashton Sanders looks like he could be he is crystal balled for OU. In addition, 3-star. I don't know where they're going to play him at with it, but defensive back Kendall Dolby, he's projected for OU. Looking again, Taylor Wine, 3-star edge projected for OU. Right now, another crystal ball as well. 24/7 is saying looking at, and again, this is all public info. I'm just looking on a list at this point. And that you can find, this is not exclusive information or anything from it. But another one showing defensive lineman Nigel Smith, 4-star out of Texas. He looks like he's looking good for OU. Another one, the big one again, Ashton Sanders. Again, I mentioned that earlier, but everyone has that one. And it looks like Peyton Bowen does want to go to OU. And I think if we get Peyton Bowen, man, that would be fantastic. Because then we get his brother as well with it. As well as if we can get what's his name? Hicks as well. So, but no, on the one, I'm glad Brent got fired up on it. Brent Venables really needed rip those up. It was a terrible call. And I get why they called it, but man, it was a terrible call. And that's what we needed Brent. We needed Brent to light some refs up on that. Do y'all's damn jobs.
Oh, hold up. There is some sporting news we're talking about. There is some sporting news that is happening and it's tertiary, but it is going to affect some things. Disney's current CEO is stepping down, and Bob Iger is returning.
Oh God.
That's
kind of big.
Which, given everything with ESPN, given everything with ABC, don't know what that means. Don't know what's going to happen with TV deals. Don't know what's going to happen in general. But kind of start keeping your ears open for anything. Iger is back at Disney, and as much as people just think Disney's entertainment parks, whatever, it is a giant control over the landscape. And a giant control with whatever's going on with TV deals in the SEC. So
it's a big deal.
So that's actually pretty. I hate to talk business on stuff like this, but this does have a bit of a downstream effect on us. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big impact because that's going to possibly change the vision of what what's it called? Of what the streaming and stuff's going to look like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know if you, Disney should pay me 25 cents for this, but tonight, Disney Plus is playing an Elton John concert live from LA. So maybe Disney Plus tries to start integrating ESPN Plus a little bit more into their thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, but this does have an effect.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still jealous. Of you staying nice and warm last night. I'm very jealous of that. By the way, what did you think of the new Bedlam trophy? I like it. I prefer something like that. If it's not that, it'd have to be the old bell. But everyone's like, this is an ugly ass trophy. I think it's okay. I like the state of Oklahoma shaped trophy. I mean, I don't have an issue with it.
It's fine. I wish it was just something more like they do in the Big Ten, like the Little Brown Jug or the Paul Bunyan Trophy. I guess I wish it was something that was very Oklahoma, but also the very Oklahoma things would have unfortunate implications. So, it's fine. It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't hate it as much as other people.
I think it was one of those for me. If you're gonna make it Oklahoma, you might as well just put the OU logo on it, or start shipping out new records of the series or something like that.
Honestly, just make the trophy in the shape of Oklahoma. Just do that.
I'm okay with that.
It's the laziest option, but it's at least. If you're looking at a trophy case, you could point to the Bedlam trophy pretty easy.
Yep. The one that's full that we start using everything from. I will say, and I'll be honest, because of just how exhausting the season has been, I am really glad that was the last home game of the season. Like, I love football, man. It can get you burnt out. I'm really glad about that.
Yeah.
Very happy about like just taking a quick breather from it and everything. So,
Yeah.
goodness, like, whew, it is what it is. I tried to think anything else from that game last night, like, or anything from week 12, because right now we're just looking forward to week or our week 11 for us, but week 12 in college football. But now we're just looking forward to probably a wacky, crazy game over in Lubbock at this point this coming Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I have to say about that game, since we're bowl eligible, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to care as much about that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just kind of like, I mean, if we win, great. I mean, I'm still watching it because I want to see how the offense does. I want to see if the defense can kind of keep some momentum. It's like I definitely want to win, but like I've said many times, once you're bowl eligible, my entire thing is the difference between like 6 and 9 wins is very.
Yep. It says how
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's nice for the record books. It's nice for the coach. It's nice for stuff like that. It still matters. Don't get me wrong, but big picture, macro, fan wise, 6 to 9 is whatever.
I was trying to just look at to see right now. Bowl projections are at the moment Texas Bowl versus Mississippi State, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl versus Michigan State, Liberty Bowl versus Arkansas, Liberty Bowl versus Kentucky, or the Texas Bowl versus Mississippi State. I think we lose to all those games except probably Michigan State. But that's asking Michigan State because they're probably going to get the floor waxed by Penn State this week.
I don't see, but once you leave like the top 3 of the SEC is not good this year. Ole Miss has had problems. I mean, LSU is good. I'm going to say that. I've been very wrong about LSU.
LSU's solid, man.
Yeah, I've been very wrong. I admit it. I've been very wrong. I mean, Georgia's good. Bama's good. And Tennessee was solid. But like outside those 4, the rest of the SEC, I mean, Vanderbilt beat Florida. The SEC is down this year, so we could beat Mississippi State. Arky's all right. I'll give Arky some credit. I'll put Arky at number 5.
Yep. I would be scared of it. Just not gonna lie. So, Swiggy, I got about a couple more minutes, and we'll wrap up at this point because I think we covered everything. Because Bedlam, it was what it was. Like, it was a Bedlam game technically. Like, there was not a whole lot. Like, after the first quarter, it was just a defensive slugfest at this point. Or I'm sorry, it was a who could be more incompetent slugfest of Levy's play calling versus Spencer Sanders, thinking that the red team is actually his team. Like, it was that. But just for a couple more minutes, did you see Black Panther?
I have seen Black Panther. Yeah.
The second one, not the first one.
Yeah, the second. I've seen the second one.
Yeah, I should have clarified at that. What do you think of it?
Somehow for a movie so wet, it was very dry. The Chadwick Boseman stuff was good. I want to be very clear. I thought that was well done, and one of my biggest issues with Phase 4 has been literally every single thing they've done. It's about grief. It could be a drinking game at this point.
It's grief porn. That's what it is. It's like, how can we make the people cry?
But I mean, and hey, this is the one where it's the most deserved, and it was done well. I thought it was too long, and it also did that Marvel thing I hate, where it's like, oh yeah, let's introduce this character, and you can see their story on Disney Plus.
Ironheart.
Yeah, but that's also a very comics thing. It definitely does. I just don't feel it works that well. In movies, but I mean, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. It's good. It came out before Avatar: Way of the Water because Yeah, the water. Yeah, I mean the water effects were at least. I guess I'll say this: I had low expectations for the water effects, and
Yeah,
they were fine. I mean, it was. I mean, effects wise, this was much better than Thor. So I got hats off to them for that. That that's good.
yeah. I kind of feel the same way. I think Black Panther could have ended 30 minutes earlier. I'll be honest, it got really dry in the middle, and I'd start to fall asleep. I was like, wait, trying to wake up. I'm like, wake up! I know this is important parts, but it felt out of place the 30 minutes, and I think it was when they were exploring the capital
Yeah,
city. It just got really
yeah.
dry at that point because they didn't have. I think it's because they were trying to do it as an underwater silent world. It was just throwing me off.
I mean, yeah, and if the underwater stuff was brighter, or cooler, I'd be for it. But it just wasn't. I mean, there was good stuff, but
Yeah.
at the same time, my other problem is a lot of it felt like a retread of the first one. it was
Oh,
unfortunate. It was
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah. I think it's one of those. Uh. It was like Shuri's take on being the Black Panther, essentially at this point.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and 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 I'll admit it's hard when that happens because you're entering to another origin story, and that's always a hard thing for what's supposed to be a sequel. Um, but but I mean, it was fine. It's if you like Black Panther, you'll probably like it. If you're not feeling Marvel right now, I don't really think it's not going to change your mind or anything. So
yeah, that's how I feel. Now I will say, I thought one of the best things was Namor. Namor was fantastic.
yeah,
They
Namor was good. Namor was good.
I liked the changing of. I think in the comics he's just very much like just an Atlantean. Like there's no connection, and them changing it to a more Mayan Aztec was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Namor was good, and he, I mean, and one of my biggest complaints about the MCU for a long time has been the villains suck. Uh, weirdly,
Yeah,
I'll give Black Panther this. At the very least, both movies have had cool villains. So
yeah, yeah. I like that. Namor was like almost the other side of the coin where he could have been like the Black Panther reasoning, but it was just like almost the Professor X Magneto situation all over again. Um, but let's also talk about the other one that I want to get to, and then we'll wrap up. Sad day, man, about Jason David Frank, man. Just such a bummer. I mean, obviously, 90 kid growing up, like that was everybody's hero going into adulthood. Like that was everybody's like, if you're around the convention scene or you're just knew him, like he always brought so much energy, was very much enthusiastic to be with his fans, was just very happy to be there at this point. I mean, I
yeah,
think as I said, when he was the face of a franchise, and I talked to it about to my mom this morning, was like, you know, it's my own selfish reason, okay? But I thought he was going to be our kind of William Shatner or our Stanley that was just going to age with us elderly, essentially, for it, and just be about 15 years ahead of us, and just be able to that bum that that's not going to be the case now from it. And you have to wonder like who the '90s star is going to be because at this point, who's a '90s star probably outside of what's her name who played Lizzie McGuire at this point?
Hillary Duff. Hillary
Yeah,
Duff.
who would be a '90s face of a franchise icon? That's hard. Like outside of Hugh Jackman. I mean, he came about 10 years like from the X-Men animated series from it, but he wasn't the Green Power Ranger, you know.
I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is probably who the '90s deserve, and Urkel.
Urkel, no, he was probably '80s.
I thought Family Members was more '90s, but my point is, but yeah, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, there aren't really a lot, and even Lizzie McGuire, I'd consider more Lizzie McGuire was a bit more 2000s, but it was kind of that weird year. But it was kind of that weird era. Yeah, it's just very. Yeah, the other thing with it was just sad. As
Mm-hmm.
much as we talk, not that. I mean, yeah, he came back and did Power Rangers Thunder. So I guess he was. So I guess he was into like picking up with IP stuff really before it got popular, because no one from Dino Thunder would really remember. No, it's like people who
Story arc like basically
yeah,
came full circle. Yeah.
exactly. The arc came full circle, and people, and the people who they want to watch Dino Thunder kids wouldn't necessarily know him, but he was that much of a franchise legend that they could throw him into Dino Thunder, and it's like, oh yeah, that's great, he's there. That's so cool. That's such a nice touch.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. It's so sad. Everything with it is just horrible. The Green Ranger saga.
It was huge in the 90s. You use the word saga. That means it was important.
Exactly. All that was big. Him becoming the White Ranger. And he really did become the face of that franchise for season. Once he came on the show, he was the face of that franchise. He was this cool guy. He's who everyone wanted to be the Green Ranger. Everyone wanted to, and yeah, he had the cool dagger. He had the different looking suit. He
got the hair.
The hair too, if you're into that. It's just everything about him just was so cool. It's just sad. Look, in a franchise as big as Power Rangers, in a franchise like that, you're always going to have. There's always going to be some actors who are taken by tragedy. I mean, if you look into them, there've been some who've had car accidents. You've had some who've died. It's others who've died tragically. But this one, this one just really hurts.
It does. This one hurts because it's almost like another part of your childhood just going away. And like for me personally, I've met him a couple times. I didn't personally know him, but dude he always brought the energy at conventions. Fans were always excited to see him. Yeah, for those of y'all never been to a convention for it, whenever you lined up, he would ensure that you got your time with him and that he would sign anything you bought for it and make time for you for it. Like he's every convention's dream essentially for it. There are so many things he did that he didn't have to for it, like signing some stuff. Like there were things like he would sign extras of, like that's just one aspect of it. I got a chance to chit chat with him a lot during In Line. We talked motorcycles one day about how he built his. It was fantastic to listen to him and hear the passion in it. We talked about like the book that came out about the visual guide of like the early Power Rangers. A lot of the stuff was donated from his mom. From when he was working on the show. So all those pictures are from his estate. There was also his stories about like when him and Johnny Young Bosch were like filming for the film, and them doing their own stunts, and them like if they got cut or injured, people would be upset, like the directors would be, because they'd have to cover him in makeup. Like he had a lot of funny stories of he was always a prankster. And the thing is, what I think was what makes this just so big is not only was he the Green Ranger, of course, and what his impact on Power Rangers, but if you're really looking at today as a whole, you're seeing all the lives he kind of like really just inspired people to like be better version of themselves, like not change who they are, but really just go out and do something good. Don't wait around to do it. Like take initiative, be good at what you want to be. Additionally, you're also seeing other actors and stuff as well, just coming out and offering their sympathy, like across all fandoms, from whether it was Bruce Campbell for Ash from Evil Dead, Veronica Taylor from The Walking Dead. You're seeing Steve Blum, like everybody's coming out like this. They're like, this one hurt. This one really hurt. And it was because it was also suicide too, because we just don't know at all, like, how we could have helped him. Like, who did he reach out to? Like, I know there was stuff going on. We saw in the news about him getting a divorce from his wife. His mom died only a couple years ago. His brother died a while back from it. We don't know how lonely he really was. And that's what is painful about it too. Like, he gave us so much back, and we always want, how can we help him at this point? It's just a sad. It's a huge loss, of course, for Power Rangers, but it's a bigger loss for just good people in general. Like, sure, it's one of those, like, everyone's flawed. I mean, we know him and Austin St. John did not get along on it, and they definitely, like, poked fun and tore at each other. But, even Austin St. John today was just like, he made a note. He's like, we weren't drinking buddies. Like, this was not it. But even he's like, I think everybody was brought down to earth. Like, we're all here only for a finite amount of time. Like, what can we do to not only better ourselves, but also to help each other out with it? I mean, it's a sad story, man. It's for what it is, man. And that's what kills me is like it's just like Robin Williams, for all the access to resources we have, to everything we have the ability for, even it can get them too. It can affect everybody for it. And that's what saddens me with our society and stuff, was just we stigmatized mental health so much now. It's scary. It genuinely is scary for it. And it's just, I feel bad. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for his friends. And it's just hitting that low, like to actually perform suicide, hitting that low where nothing helps at this point. Like, it just sucks. It just really sucks. But it's an impact, man. It's like when Stan Lee passed away, or Betty Ross. Like, and I know theirs weren't suicide or anything. It was just old age. But man, it's just, I can't think of anybody else who you would say as a kid defined the 90s as much as Tommy and the Dragon Sword Man, or Tommy and White Tiger. Maybe, I would say maybe, and it's not even close, but Amy Jo, probably the Pink Ranger. She would probably be the other one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you talk about, as someone who grew up with Power Rangers, the only, the two I think of are the Green Ranger and the Pink Ranger. That's just where my mind automatically goes with it.
Yeah.
I know everyone is different, but those two always seem to be the ones that always stood out. So it's, I mean, the entire thing is very sad. It's just a tragedy of it's a tragedy. That's all I can really say about it.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely that. Because even then, it's like, if you think about it with 90s stuff, like, well, Beanie Babies, they were a thing. Well, that didn't have an actor with it. A video game didn't have an actor with it. I'd say the closest one maybe Dragon Ball Z, but Sean and Chris Sabat, obviously they would be huge and stuff as well, but they're voice actors. They weren't a face of it. We know it as Goku and Vegeta. We don't know it as Sean and Chris from it. Maybe I think another one would be Michael Jordan. That would definitely be a big one.
Yeah, Jordan.
For sure. Jordan, Jason David Frank, Michael Jordan. Gosh, I can't think of Britney Spears, obviously, but she's fallen off the map so much.
You're missing the biggest 90s icon.
Which one?
The Woody Allen ant from the movie Ants.
No, just because that thing says that trivia question that I would never answer. No.
Come on, name me someone more iconic than the Woody Allen ant.
According to that book, that is correct. Well, I'm going to tell you that is wrong. But no, it's also too, like, when you think about like Saturday morning cartoons, like even Conroy with Batman, tragic loss with it. Died very early at 60. I think it was 66, but he was still a voice for it. He was not the face, Yeah,
but Conroy was rough. Conroy is rough because he did the Arkham games, and anytime I write a Batman comic, that's the voice I defaulted to.
Yeah. Well, just like Mark Hamill and the Joker.
Oh yeah. Hamill did such a great job with the Joker. We really don't talk about that enough, because I mean, especially coming right after the Keaton movies, where it would have been really easy for them to just go with a bad Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah.
How you doing, Batman?
Yeah. Yeah, like it was just yeah. So he will be missed. Definitely a very, very sad moment here. And I knew about it before it really hit the news and everything, because I have a source very close to me. It's like, you need to prepare yourself for this one. And I will say I'm very blessed from all the times that I was able to interact with him and meet with him. I mean, one of my treasure things is going to be my power morpher that I morphed with him with in the picture with. Like, that thing is good. Probably I'm going to need to get a case for that now. Of that, that's such a personal item now. For that, of it hurts. This one hurts, man. This is like
because I saw the news last night, but I'm like, it's unconfirmed. I'm gonna wait for way more information on it before I start saying stuff or start doing stuff, and then and then you kind of confirmed it this morning for me. That was just horrible.
Yep, yep. It's just a bummer, man. It's really a bummer. From because when you think about Saturday morning cartoons, that's what '90s kids watched. Was that Batman, Pokemon, Digimon, of course, but that was really the live action one. Um,
Yeah.
Everything, man, starting to it's killing us, man. No pun intended for it, but man, Kevin Conroy passing away, Jason David Frank passing away, Ash winning the championship. And I know this one didn't start in the '90s, but The Walking Dead wrapping up tonight. Like,
Yeah.
man,
To be fair, The Walking Dead really started wrapping up like 5 years ago.
no, don't say that. Don't say no. You're right. You're right. I stopped watching The Walking Dead a while ago.
It's been good. The thing is, if The Walking Dead gave me just more zombies, I would have kept watching it. But it's like I don't care about this. I don't care about. I basically I stopped caring about 40 minutes of talking with like 5 minutes of like cool zombie stuff.
Yeah.
Which
Let's
which is the problem with any zombie show. It's just it's just a problem in general. So
yeah. I think that's all I got, Swiggy, man. Like I said, and I will remind it one more time to people remaining in the chat for it. I know we went off topic with it, but it was the main thing tonight because I do think there are significant things to talk about, and the Jason David Frank one is going to be one. I bet you money they're going to make a documentary about him. It's very, very sad that it's going to be posthumously. I wonder if there's going to be other things like little tributes for him because of just what he did for fandoms at this point. I wonder what that's going to happen for it. I really hope with the 30th anniversary special coming out that I hope he was a part of it. We know they showed the full cast, but I'm hoping even cameo and having someone in as a suit actor for it, and even having him with transmissions or something, like from another galaxy or something, have something for it at the end, because it's going to be like the Chadwick Boseman thing again. This is going to be in loving memory of Jason David Frank and the gal who played Trini. And she died in a car wreck back in 2001. It's been a long time, but it's going to be a tribute because of 30 years.
Yeah, and didn't the actor who played Billy die too?
No, he's alive and kicking.
He's still alive. Okay, good. For whatever reason I thought I had seen that he had died. But no, he's still alive.
I just saw him last year. Yeah, he's still alive, and he was just filming. So
yeah, I don't know why that's stuck in my head. I don't know why that's stuck in my head that I thought he had died. But anyway, glad he's alive. I'm very glad.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Okay. Just because I don't want to close with that exactly.
And I understand it is a bummer thing.
I know, but I'm just saying one last thing. If any of you want some high comedy, go and search anything. Go and search for clips from the new Pokemon game on YouTube or Twitter or even or Facebook or whatever platform, because man, there are some pretty funny, horrible glitches in Scarlet and Violet.
Goodness, there are so many ones of like the bicycle getting larger. That one's just one of many.
Or the bicycle randomly showing up during a fight. Basically showing up and riding all around while two of them are fighting. I gotta tell you. The fundamentals of Pokemon games are not strong right now.
Nope, and they should. I mean, it's one of those that I keep saying that, yes, they absolutely should be criticized for. Like, at some point, it's unacceptable. Like, everybody keeps saying this is a game that we really want to like, but the stuff is kind of thing. By the way, yep, see, we're in the Power Ranger shirt tonight. Got to. So
well, the problem is, it's everything, and they really need 3. They really need 3 years. They went way too ambitious with this one, and they just don't have this. They they need to hire more staff. I know a lot of people are saying time and more staff might not make an issue. I disagree with that. Most major studios have about 400 people, and they're at about and Game Freak is at like 170 right now. They need more people. I mean, they need more people. I mean, the simple fact is, if you ship a game that had customizable clothing before, and this time you only give like the options of like 4 school uniforms, and each one just goes with the season. The fundamentals of Pokemon are not strong right now. Honestly, they need to take. Honestly, I think a 5, even 7 year, and they'll never get a 7-year break, but they need a big break so they can redo their engine. But it's not going to happen. So I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm going to say this here. Don't be nice to them. They have 4 of the 11 highest selling games on Switch. They need to at this point. They need to start putting up or shutting up. They're not some small indie developer. They basically rake them over the coals until it gets fixed. Feel about Pokemon how you did about Cyberpunk.
Yep, I agree.
And that's all I got.
The outrage has got to be it. So, again, guys, let's wrap up. Swiggy, any final thoughts?
Nope, that was it.
Cool. I'm going to do the same thing I said at the beginning and the middle again, and I think it's going to be something that I'm going to mention in my live streams. Again, guys, 988. If you're ever feeling lonely or you're feeling down and you feel like that's going to be a possibility, call the number, guys, or reach out to your family and friends with it. Just remember, we want you here. Everybody loves you, and we don't want you away. We want everybody here to enjoy it, especially for OU fans. We want everybody. We want you to be with the family and your best friends of 87,000 people at the next game day. Life is tough, but you don't have to do it alone. So, and I think myself, I want to help people with it, and I want to wrap it up, Andrew. But I do want to say this: if there's something that Jason David Frank said, and I want to encourage people with it. I mentioned earlier about how he said, be the best that you could be a better you with it. And it's not about changing who you are. It's just being even better than who you are and like being authentic to yourself. Don't procrastinate with what you're doing today or to put off to tomorrow. Do it today. Be that one, take the initiative for it. Be lift. If you want, I saw one earlier today. He put off snowboarding. He saw it in the show, but he wanted to learn snowboarding. But he kept pushing off, and now he's using this as a motivation. You know what? I'm using this as a motivation to really promote mental health. Like, we stigmatize it too much, and I want people to care about that. So, again, don't put off till tomorrow what you can start today with it. It's hard. Remember, it's just like health. It is a marathon. It is not a race. So, again, use his words. Use whatever inspiration, even if you don't watch Power Rangers for it. Use those final thoughts as good inspiration. But, again, guys, 988 if you're ever feeling like down with this going forward. I will probably promote that at the end anyway. At this point, it's just good. It's good. So anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap up. Again, OU beats Oklahoma State 23-13 or 28-13 in Norman, getting revenge for last year for it as we look to the final home game or final game of the season in Lubbock against the Red Raiders. So be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we go live or when I upload a video, to come check it out. Swiggy, thank you again for joining us tonight and talking Bedlam and just kind of talking about everything just in general. I think a positive way I want to end this, I think it would be to make Jason David Frank very happy. Let's end our live stream with just something fun. You know what it is? It's morphin' time. So, it's morphin' time. So, everybody... Perfect. Everyone, y'all have a good one. Boomer Sooner, only one Oklahoma. And I will see you, Swiggy, Wednesday night for our preview against Crazy Taco Tech.
See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. Bye.